Oh, welcome, Gridiron Gang. Episode 13. 10 burning questions of the NFL. This is Drew. I'm Pedro. Welcome to the Gridiron Gang Football Podcast. We hope that we are able to provide you with a platform for you to come on and talk to us. Please come on, send us messages, talk to us so that we can get you on the show, that we can get this conversation going. And we also hope that we can provide you with a very much needed distraction. Drew, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm not wearing pants.
Do they know that? No.
They don't have? Am I?
I will not look down.
Okay, cool.
We are going to go ahead and get started. The 10 burning questions of the NFL. These are questions that we both kind of compiled. Not necessarily the only questions. I think there's a lot of questions going into this season.
These are just 10 that we've decided that, these are pretty good, generic yet specific questions that will go into the 2020 season.
Exactly. And a lot of these questions, in my opinion, are questions that need to be answered and are questions that honestly can be answered in many, many different ways.
Exactly.
So let's get started with the first one. I think this first question is great. I think this first question it's interesting. What did I lose? I lose my, yep.
I'm looking in the notes for this show. It's another tally mark toward the Lions being your favorite team, but go ahead.
No, it's not. All right. Last year, question number 1. Last year, there was 3 players that caught double-digit touchdowns, receiving touchdowns. The 3 players were Mark Andrews, Cooper Kupp, and the ever-smooth route runner, Kenny G. It's not my fault. He's a smooth route runner. Kenny Golladay. Those were the 3 top 10, the T.
So what you're saying is Mark Andrews and Cooper Kupp are not smooth route runners.
Not like Kenny Golladay.
Okay.
I mean, that guy's like...
Spoken like a true Lions fan.
So, those were the 3 players that reached double-digit receiving touchdowns last year. The question is, do they once again reach the double-digit touchdown mark in receiving? And is there any other wide receiver or tight end that you expect to reach that mark in the 2020-2021 season? For reference, in 2018, there were 9 players that reached such mark. And in 2017, there was only 3. So it's something that kind of flip-flops. It's kind of hard to pin down.
Yeah.
So, Drew, do you want to go first?
Sure. I would like to nominate Mike Evans. He is a potential touchdown machine. He is a bully in that red zone, and now he has a quarterback that doesn't throw as many passes to the opposing team as he does his own teammates. I don't think that Tom Brady is going to come out there and throw a 70-yard bomb, but he can still get the ball to him. But I don't know. He's something that in the past, before Jameis Winston started closing his eyes before he threw the football, was able to come in there and be a monster in the red zone.
Yeah.
But another person I'd really like to talk about is DeAndre Hopkins and maybe Stephon Diggs. They're both now like. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins has always been incredible. Like, don't get me wrong, But Stephon Diggs is now the premier guy. He doesn't have to compete with Adam Thielen. So, and he has a guy who can throw it 70 yards with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So when you come in here, both of these guys can be highly productive. But I do think that Mike Evans does have the edge here.
I like Mike Evans as your pick. I have more questions about Hopkins and I went blank here. Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Because they're going into a new team.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Evans has a new quarterback, but from what we think, it's going to be a mixture of Tom Brady learning Arians' offense and the team learning Tom Brady's offense. But in the Stephon Diggs case and Hopkins case, they have to learn this brand new offense in this weird time that we're living in, with shortened OTAs and shortened preseason. So I do have questions about that. But I think I think those are great picks, and I like Hopkins to do that. My pick is Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams, listen to his stat lines for 2018. 111 receptions, 1,386 yards, and 13 touchdowns. That was good for the fifth most targets for a wide receiver that year. The fifth most targets. Last year, very different. 83 receptions, 997 yards, and only 5 touchdowns. He only played 12 games. Let's not forget that. Did not break the 1,000-yard mark. Didn't have more than 5 touchdowns. Okay. That was LaFleur's first year. Yeah. And I understand that he wants to make this team into a running first team.
Yeah.
But let's not forget who's the quarterback there still.
Who's that?
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh.
And Aaron Rodgers is going to do what Aaron Rodgers wants, for the most part.
For the most part.
They're still going to throw the ball. And Devontae Adams still has nobody behind him. Nobody to compete for targets. If they're going to throw the ball, you can bet that Aaron Rodgers is going to be looking Devontae Adams' way. And I do believe that with another 4 games, presumably he plays all 16 games. And touchdowns is one of those things that, for an elite wide receiver like Devontae Adams, being thrown the ball by an elite quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, the 5 touchdowns is way too low. I see that going up. Does he get to the 10? I believe he does. We'll see. Okay. That is my pick.
I like that, Devontae Adams. I do think that Devontae Adams truly is one of the best, all well-rounded receivers. I think he's up there with, Julio Jones that can come in there and just everything he does is really polished. And a fun fact, if Devontae Adams, if I were making a starting 5 basketball team I made out of wide receivers in the NFL, Devontae Adams would probably be my number 3 or number 4. He is position.
Small forward, power forward.
Yeah, because he just seems like somebody that can dunk on you. But anyway, I do think that it's really good. Because he is, like you said, he is the premier guy. He is on an island there in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So I do think that. All right, second question. That's really hard to say for some reason. Second question: what second-year player do you think will have the most improvement and impact for his team, and why?
Okay. I talked myself out of the player that you eventually chose.
Really?
Yes, and not
okay.
for his talent or the opportunity that he has, which I think both are huge.
Yeah.
The reason I talked myself out of it was because I wanted to be a little different, because that's the first.
So what you're saying is I'm taking the easier out.
Well, I'm just calling you basic.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay.
No, it's the first name that popped in my head.
More
and
conservative in my thinking. I'm just kind of I'm not gonna go that guy that nobody's ever heard of.
Right. Well,
a breakout play.
I believe a lot of people have heard of this player, but maybe not so many outside of Pittsburgh. Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver from Pittsburgh. Last year as a rookie wide receiver, 680 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns as a third-round rookie last year. That is a huge stat line for a rookie wide receiver in the NFL. We just talked about Devontae. I'm not comparing the two, but we just talked about Devontae Adams having only 5 receiving touchdowns last year, the same amount as Deontay Johnson. And look, if you consider the fact that Deontay Johnson had Mason Rudolph and Devlin Hodges throwing the ball to him.
Duck Hodges.
Thank you. After Big Ben was injured very early in the season, it's an incredible feat what he was able to do.
Yeah.
And I found last year, I found myself torturing myself a lot. Watching a lot of LA Rams and Pittsburgh Steelers games last year. Because my 2 fantasy wide receivers, I was in 7 different fantasy leagues last year. Won 4.
We have gotten him help. It's okay.
I won 4.
Yeah.
But a lot of in almost every league, my 2 wide receivers were Cooper Kupp and Juju Smith-Schuster. So I found myself torturing myself watching these games, and watching Pittsburgh play, I found myself going, who's that guy who's always open? and it was Deontay Johnson. Always great separation, wide open, and then they just completely missed him. Completely missed him. But get this. He caught 91% of catchable throws that were thrown to him. That just meaning that if the ball thrown to him was decent in his kind of window of catching ball, he snagged it 91% of the time. This is a great player, and presumably with Ben Roethlisberger back, healthy, a huge upgrade in the quarterback situation, watch out for him to be a breakout.
All right. My basic pick is it's pretty basic, is Kyler Murray. Last year's number 1 overall pick. He had a pretty promising rookie year, but now he has a really established offense. Period. He's got a really good receiving core now when adding DeAndre Hopkins to Larry Legend, Andy Isabella, and Christian Kirk. But he also has a really good running back in Kenyon Drake. Now remember, he didn't have a full season with Kenyon Drake last year. This year he will. I think that having a solid running game is something that can really help your quarterback by taking the pressure off of him.
Oh, yeah.
So when you have that, I think that whatever they're wanting to cook up in Arizona, this is the year to really see it. He has 1 year to really kind of like test drive the offense that they're wanting to put together. And now this year is the year that I think he'll really break out and show everybody why this 5'9", 175 kid was taken number 1 overall.
Yeah. Again, I love this pick. It's the first person that popped in my mind. And let's not forget, for our fantasy viewers that play fantasy football, he was the quarterback 7 last year.
He's quick, man.
The quarterback
I've never
7, and he only threw like 20 passing touchdowns. If that number goes up with the yards that he gets on the ground, this guy's a top 3. This guy could be the next Lamar Jackson last year.
Now, I think that's kind of a...
maybe too far, but...
No. It's not like, people want to compare Lamar Jackson to Vic. That's fine. I'm cool with that. I see a lot of similarities in the game. I'm not saying they're exactly the same. This guy right here, he's so much different. Like, of course, he's got a really small frame. I knocked on his frame. Of course, I do believe that he plays at 5'9". People say he's 6 foot. I think he was legitimately standing on his tiptoes. And in the combine, he weighed at like 215, 230, something like that. Something
listen,
stupid.
If he's 6 foot and Drew Brees is 5'11", I'm not buying it.
Nope. And I do not believe 1 second that he is a ounce over 175. And I'm not like hating on him for that. I'm not. I just think that It's part of the new game. You think about what is coming in the NFL. It started with Russell Wilson. He's smaller.
Right.
Of course, we have the anomaly that was Drew Brees. But you have Russell Wilson, who's smaller. You have Baker Mayfield, who's smaller.
He's tiny.
And
he's slow.
Yeah, okay. And then and now you have Kyler Murray, who's taken overall. So you have different smaller quarterbacks that are coming in there. They're making their way in the league and finding success. So the thing about Kyler Murray that makes him so special is he does have a cannon of an arm.
Yeah.
Well, I think everybody kind of loses everyone's cannon arm whenever you talk about Patrick Mahomes, which he deserves all the credit he can have. Same thing for Josh Allen, who I know is Pedro's favorite player. I think that if Josh Allen were the quarterback in Detroit, it'd be a match made in heaven. But the thing is, he has a cannon of an arm. But the thing, Kyler has a rocket arm. But the thing that separates him, that makes him so special, is his explosiveness. I've never, he's not. I don't think he's as shifty as Lamar. Not even close.
No.
Lamar will just look at you and then like laugh at you as he just fell on your face. No, Kyler has this explosiveness that just like now he's here. Oh wait, now he's 30 yards down.
I think Russell Wilson, but quicker.
Russell's elusive. But he's not explosive. That's the thing. I don't know. I think it goes Russell Wilson is sorry. Lamar Jackson is on one end of the spectrum of quarterbacks with special legs, and Kyler Murray's on the other side. I think Russell Wilson's right in the middle. So anyway, that's that. Okay, number 3. We need to move on. We don't want to get too fixated on certain questions. Top 3 MVP nominees who will win the MVP this year.
So the top 3 nominees and who wins the MVP this year. Okay, pretty simple for me. Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Russell Wilson.
Okay.
Tom Brady.
Okay, that's bold.
That is bold, but that obviously entails that Tampa Bay has a great year.
Yeah.
And if Tampa Bay is having a great year,
I'm just
without
surprised.
Bill Belichick, you can guarantee he's going to be in the MVP.
I'm surprised he didn't bring in Lamar, man.
Okay, it's a good point. Let me elaborate on why.
Okay.
I can't pinpoint it, but
He just wanted to shock you with Tom Brady.
No, I'm off Lamar this year. I'm off Lamar this year because I don't know I don't know if it's sustainable what he's doing, and I don't know if he will be able to do it again. So until I see it, until I'm seeing it, I'm off. Now, if he shuts me up and proves me wrong, that's great because we want to see elite players playing. But I'm off.
Okay. All right, so this is something I really wanted to turn. I wanted to make this kind of a question, as who's kind of like your dark horse, but I just thought that's just too complicated. Let's just make this one question. So, this is an interesting question because I want to bring up this. The preseason MVP odds have been way off for the past three years. Okay.
Yeah, they have.
So in 2018, our top 5 were Tom Brady, 2018, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Big Ben, and Russell Wilson. Patrick Mahomes came in there, taking the NFL by storm, and just blew everybody's socks off and easily earned that MVP of that year, easily.
Right.
Now, let's talk about last year. Okay, the preseason odds last year were as follows. Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers,
Right.
Baker Mayfield,
That's the one that made me smile.
Carson Wentz, and Andrew Luck. But Lamar
What was the last
Jackson. No, it's not important. Lamar Jackson came in here and took the next step and really showed us what he can do. And to argue with you about how Lamar Jackson's not sustainable, I do think that his game is sustainable.
I just have questions, is what I'm saying.
I think his game is absolutely sustainable. It's his body that I don't, because he by juking those people, by going out there taking the ball himself, I've never seen anything. I grew up watching Vic. He was
Right.
somebody that Vic did some pretty awesome things, and I think Vic is maybe faster than Lamar. I don't think that's controversial. I think Vic was faster than Lamar, but Lamar is somebody that will just juke you out of your shoes. We were watching film one time about him when he won his Heisman. I don't forget who he was playing against. I think it might have been Virginia Tech. It was a D1 team, and the camera was behind the line where Lamar was. Lamar took a step to the left, and the entire defense took a step to the left. He juked out 7 people, all 7 people in the box. All 7 people. He took it 30 yards. I've never seen anybody take the entire box on the defense and make them fall on their face.
Yeah.
It's insane. Obviously he's one of my favorites to win.
Who are the others?
Okay, so this year, as it stands for the 2020 NFL preseason for the MVP odds, per OddsShark, is Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, and Tom Brady. Now, I wanted to bring this up by saying who is going to be the dark horse this year. And I didn't put it in the notes because I wanted to see your face. My top 3 are Patrick Mahomes, obviously. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say this is a Patrick Mahomes show, but
it's just crazy not to have him there.
Exactly, because he's just fantastic. Then you have Lamar Jackson, who, like I said, I think his game is sustainable.
It's fair enough. He's the reigning MVP.
Exactly. His game is sustainable, but it's his body.
Right.
Now, number 3.
Let me guess.
What?
Kyler Murray.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope. This is kind of a hot take,
Oh.
But here we go. I want to bring up somebody. Think about what the MVP is. You don't really win. It's kind of like the Heisman. You don't win the MVP.
He's about to choose somebody that's not a quarterback.
Oh, we'll see. You think about MVPs of the past. They've had winning. They go deep into the playoffs.
Right.
They have a pretty good cast around them,
Right.
both offensively and defensively. I would like to present to you my nomination for a MVP candidate. I'm not giving him the MVP now. No way in hell am I going to give him the MVP now. But my candidate for the 2020 NFL season for MVP, Josh Allen.
Oh.
So, Pedro doesn't like to pick. But if you think about it...
No, I mean, I can see it.
He's developing into something.
He is developing.
And I'm not saying that he's going to win it. Like, let me preface that. Like, these guys lose all credibility because the fat one said that Josh Allen's going to win the MVP. No, I'm just saying he's a candidate because you come in here, you have an incredible draft. Okay, you've upgraded your team.
Oh man,
you have Devin Singletary and was it Zach Moss in the backfield?
Moss in the third.
In the backfield, like you have a speed guy that come out of the backfield catch it. You have a bruiser, and then on top of that, you got John Brown who's still got some speed in him.
Yep.
You got Beasley in the slot, and now you have Stephon Diggs. Like. He has all the tools,
and they have a stud defense. They can make it far,
and he can take the ball himself.
Yeah,
like I just think that's just I'm just putting that out there because he's poised to have great success.
He is,
and I think the Bills are poised to have great success. So this is you called me basic. Last question. There's my boldness.
No, I like it. I like it because I remember a few episodes ago. I've been talking a lot about Allen, saying how he is not accurate.
Yeah.
And he's just,
How much is that also?
But he's getting better.
Part of it is his fault, yes, but how much is that the talent around him?
It could be. Well, it's time to prove it.
Yeah, exactly.
Time to prove it. My dynasty team would love for this to happen. And so we'll just leave it at that. And I can see it. I can see it because he's got that kind of look of the last... Not looking and play of the last two MVPs.
Yep.
Question number 4. Does the NFC even stand a chance to win the Super Bowl, considering that the Chiefs and the Ravens are the favorites to come out of the AFC?
Okay, you want to take that or you want me to?
I'll start.
Go ahead.
No. No. There's only one team in the NFC that I believe has a chance, the best chance, but I still think they lose to the Chiefs, who I think are going to... I think they're going to go back-to-back. There's only one team, and it's the Saints. I give them the best chance. I think that we saw last year San Francisco could not keep up. They don't have the firepower. They don't have the quarterback to keep up with that kind of offense. Garoppolo's more of a game manager, and when the game gets out of hand, he just doesn't have it in him to bring them back. I think we saw that in the Super Bowl. I think the 43-year-old quarterback in Tampa Bay, I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with Mahomes as much as the weapons are there if Tampa Bay makes it to the Super Bowl. And Breeze, he's familiar with this team. He's been there forever. It's still a great team. They have one last Super Bowl run left in them. And I trust them more. If you tell me pick somebody in the NFC to beat the Chiefs or the Ravens, I'm going with the Saints. But with that being said, no.
All right, okay. I won't say never, but there is a scheme. Wait, sorry, let me restart that. I will not say never, but until there is a scheme to successfully stop Patrick Mahomes' arm, I will say no.
Right.
We saw it in the divisional round of the playoffs. We saw it in the AFC Championship game last year. We even saw it in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs were down by multiple scores, by at least a touchdown and a field goal.
Yeah. And
with a literal flick of his wrist, Patrick Mahomes put them back on top. I think that a team that can definitely come in here and kind of like lick their wounds and come back in like with their defense is probably maybe the 49ers. I still think that they still have a lot to prove to not have a Super Bowl hangover, but they're returning a lot. I mean, they lost to Forrest Buckner, who was a major part of that defense. But
Like Javon Kinlaw.
Javon Kinlaw, they replaced him well. They have Brandon Ayuk on offense. That's another offensive weapon for Jimmy G to throw to. I think that they're a team that can definitely. I trust the San Francisco 49ers off defense to stop Patrick Mahomes more than I do the Saints.
Okay.
So they're just
Okay.
that.
Fair enough. Moving on real quickly. Question number 5. Okay. I like this question.
This is a really long one.
This is a pretty long question, but... Okay, I'll just ask the question. Can the Tennessee Titans and Ryan Tannehill keep the magical Cinderella run they had at the end of the year last year? Can they keep that going into the 2020-21 season?
Okay. I'm not a Titans hater, okay? I am a Colts fan that lives in Titans country. I know they are our divisional rivals, but... And I know a lot of fans believe they can get back to where they were, but I don't, and here's why. They showed everything that they had last year. You know, A.J. Brown had an incredible year. I think he's going to be... They can build off of him, for sure.
Yeah.
Corey Davis will be off the team after this year. I do believe that. You don't have a lot of other kind of like they do not have a proven offensive line as they did last year because they lost Jack Conklin. They do have that first round pick they have this year from Georgia, but like I say, their defense did a phenomenal job. I want to commend Mike Vrabel for stopping Tom Brady, for stopping Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
They shut Lamar Jackson down.
Yep, sure did.
But I think that for sure you stop Derrick Henry, which is a hard thing to do.
Or you take a lead on them. Because if you take a lead, they can't keep running.
Can't come back, yeah. And then you stop Derrick Henry, which is, like I said, a hard thing to do. You win.
Stop the Titans, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, real quick.
It's not like they have something up their sleeve. They're like, we've been saving Jonnu Smith this entire time.
Jonnu Smith is a beast.
He is. I've seen him. Yeah, I don't want to hate on Jonnu Smith, but like, he's not somebody.
He's not something elite.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna go yes and no because I do believe they're gonna be a great team again. I do believe they will make the playoffs and make a pretty decent run, but I don't believe they'll be as good as last year. Meaning, I don't believe they'll make it to the AFC Championship game. There's just too much riding, way too much riding, I believe, on Ryan Tannehill. I think Derrick Henry's still going to do Derrick Henry things and run through people and run over people, but A, you're hoping he doesn't get injured. And B, if somebody does stop him, you've got a lot riding on Ryan Tannehill. And I'm just not drinking the Kool-Aid yet. I'm not buying it. So, yes and no, I think they're going to have a great year, but I don't think they'll be as good as last year. Question number 6. Will Chicago's offense get it together? Just a quick little preface here. They finished 29th in scoring, 27th in rushing, and 25th in passing last year. They're just a bad offense. Who will play quarterback? A lot more questions. So, do they get it together, take advantage of their good defense, and put together a good year, Drew?
All right, this will be simple. This is all I'm going to say on this. Like I said last episode, I love Chicago. I love the Monsters of the Midway. I love their fans, their diehardness that they have. But no, they do not get it together. And I truly believe that they're going to clear house after this year, after they obtain a top 5 draft pick.
Wow. Okay. Look, I've been saying Foles is going to be their quarterback at some point in the year. I keep that position. But Foles has never played more than 11 games in a single season. So even if he goes in, what if he might get injured? You might have to go back to Mitch. No is all I'm going to say.
And I know I said that was all I was going to say, but it's not. I love what they could build off of. if you have a decent coach that can come in here and lead the entire team and not just your offense.
Oh, you're calling for the coach to be fired now.
I always said that it wasn't really he. I thought he was a one-trick pony. But anyway, you have Khalil Mack, who is still just this dominant force on defense. And you have Roquan Smith on the backing him up back. And they have so many great pieces on that defense. And they come in here. They have Allen Robinson, we talked about him last week. I think that you have such incredible pieces. It just you don't have the right quarterback, nor do you have the right scheme fit.
I agree.
So I'm excited for if they do get a top 5 draft pick, rebuild, go out there, get you somebody else, and draft you a quarterback in top 5. This is gonna be a great quarterback draft class, Chicago fans. It's okay, You cut the $88 million man Nick Foles. You suck it up and cut Mitchell Trubisky after spending a second-round pick over him.
After you could have had Mahomes.
Anyway, you do come in there and you find your future, and good for them if they do. And if they don't, I love you, Chicago.
Yeah. Question number 7. Will the Dallas Cowboys make a deep playoff run, y'all? Was that any good?
That was painful. That was so painful.
Will they make a deep playoff run?
Yes, I do believe they will, because Mike McCarthy makes a world of difference. He is not Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett's, not only did his scheme get old, but his message got old and his clapping got old. He brings in a fresh new system that is an incredibly talented team. Whether or not, you hate or love the Dallas Cowboys, you have to respect their roster is phenomenal. And I'm a big believer in the Cowboys. With the Redskins starting their slow rebuild and the Giants not having literally anyone to throw to, Eagles are the only team that could stand in their way, and I don't think they have what it takes to stop the Cowboys twice a year. Dallas could easily come into the playoffs after winning their division and having a really nice seed atop of the NFC playoffs.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I am a believer. Look, I know this team was 8-8 last year, but offensively they look great. This offense got more potent. They now have this special somebody called CeeDee Lamb to complement the 1,000-yard man, Michael Gallup, and the $100 million man, Amari Cooper. I cannot wait to see what this team does.
Oh, and then there's also Ezekiel Elliott.
By the way, yeah. Did you hear about the running back? Ezekiel Elliott. He's a beast. And the reason why I'm saying yes, especially even all those points are great.
Yeah.
I think the NFC is wide open.
No,
I think the NFC is wide. They don't in the AFC you have this 2 teams that are head and shoulders above everybody. And that's the Ravens and the Chiefs. Can we agree? I mean, even though the Titans made it to the AFC Championship game, I think
Denver Broncos.
Well,
I'm kidding. I think
the AFC has 2 teams that are head and shoulders above everybody. But in the NFC, I believe the NFC is wide open.
I think the Saints they want it more. They've doubled down in their draft.
But I don't see the Saints being just head and shoulders above everybody else, though. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So when that happens, when you have a division or a co-conference that is kind of open that way, where it could be the Saints, it could be the Buccaneers, why not Dallas?
Well, yeah.
They have a great team. They have a good defense, a great quarterback, great weapons, great running game. Yes, I can definitely see them making a deep playoff run. Well, are they going to make the Super Bowl? I don't know, but I think I can see them making to the NFC conference.
Alrighty.
Question number 8: Will Tom Brady surprise us, have a great season, and take Tampa Bay to the Super Bowl?
Okay, I'll answer that. I think that Tom will continue to defy the odds by continuously being able to come in and produce at an older age. My first concern is their offensive line as a whole. I know that they come in here, they draft Tristan Wirfs in the first round. I think he's a phenomenal kid to base your offensive line off of. But you also have to remember there are 4 other guys in that line. Now, I know it sounds kind of cliche, and it is cliche, and me saying that it's cliche is cliche, but it sounds like it will come down to their trenches. You know, Tom can make it off of like really. He's got a couple of Hall of Famers that block for him in New England. Now this time you come in here, it's Tampa Bay. You got a young team. You've kind of made like a patch job on your offensive line, which is not bad. I mean, patch jobs aren't bad. You can do a lot of good things on patch jobs. But I think as long as you keep your 43-year-old quarterback upright, you can have success. If not, then we're just kind of like, well, we saw that coming.
I'm not going to answer yes and no. I am going to answer by saying I hope so. I'm not a Buccaneer fan, but I love good stories. 43-year-old quarterback, after 20 years, leaves Bill Belichick, goes to Florida. He's a new man breaking into houses. And it's a good story. And let's not forget, by the way, that the Super Bowl is in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
It's an even better story.
That'd be fun.
I hope so. It'll be fun. And maybe we start saving now and we go to Tampa for the Super Bowl.
Maybe. We'll see.
Not gonna happen.
All right, so I'm gonna switch it up on you, Pedro.
Okay.
I want to save 9 for last. Okay?
Sounds good.
So our next question is: which player will start to show signs of age?
I really didn't want to say this player
Uh-huh.
because he's phenomenal. He continues year in, year out to be phenomenal. The only thing that varies with him is touchdowns. Sometimes they go his way, sometimes they don't. Julio Jones. He is 31 years old. And it almost seems like every year he gets better. Like Von Juan. And look, wide receivers tend to play well deep into their career. But with Matt Ryan also getting up there in age, this Atlanta team not looking so great last year, I think Julio Jones this year could possibly start to decline. And I hate to say that because I like Julio. Watched him in college. Great player. I think speaking about fantasy, he's just as safe as a wide receiver because he's going to have all these targets. But with the combination of him and Matt Ryan, I decided to go with Julio Jones. Drew?
Okay. All right. I picked Le'Veon Bell. Now,
that's a good one.
He is 28 years old. I think that, after you get to about 25, running backs unfortunately start to go down in talent because it's just they get hit every single play, and eventually your body just starts to break down. Now I know that he took 2018 off. Pedro knows that very well since he drafted him number 2 overall.
First round.
Yeah.
I think it was like 7th overall. But go ahead and tell him the whole story. I still made it to the semifinals.
Anyway, he comes in here, but if you look at the stat line from 2017, he had 321 attempts in rushing, and had over almost 1,300 yards in rushing, and he also had 700 yards in receiving. Now, if you look at last year, now granted it's a much different caliber of talent on that Jets team, he had 245 yards rushing. I'm sorry, 245 yards, 245 attempts. Good Lord, I cannot talk today.
Yeah.
And he had 66 receptions for 461 yards. Only 4 touchdowns. It's just whether or not it's the degree of talent around him.
3 on the ground, by the way.
3 on the ground, 1 in the air. He had 4 touchdowns. He had 11 touchdowns in 2017. Now, if you look at this, you kind of think, well, the Jets are kind of terrible. Well, yeah, they are, but I know that Le'Veon Bell is good at football. I'm going to meet you halfway and say maybe it's his age. Maybe it's starting to catch up to where, yeah, he had an entire year of no tread and wear, but eventually Father Time will catch up to you. You lose a step, you lose an inch on your vertical, whatever. You start to, you're not as good as you once were. Now I think Le'Veon Bell still is a phenomenal athlete, and I think that he still has a lot in the tank. But I think he's really going to start to show age this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, myself including, are expecting a kind of a bit of a bounce back year. Maybe what you're saying is that he doesn't have a bounce back to 2017.
My thing is, can he bounce back to that?
And I don't think he will.
I don't think so either.
I don't think the offensive line is good enough. I don't think the team's good enough, and he's also 28.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 10. Why don't you take us?
All right, number 10. Last question here. What is your Super Bowl matchup, and who wins?
Okay. I got a feeling you didn't write anything. I got a feeling he's gonna surprise me.
Mm-mm.
I have the pretty boring Kansas City Chiefs playing the New Orleans Saints. I believe this should have been the Super Bowl in 2018. If you think about it, you kind of remember that was the year that the Saints got
hosed
with that.
And if it wasn't for Flowers jumping off sides, in the AFC Championship game,
that's what I'm saying.
It would have been.
So I feel like we got robbed of a good Super Bowl that year because it was terrible.
Oh gosh.
And so I think we're going to see it this year. I think we're going to see it, and I think it's going to be a shootout with Patrick Mahomes back to back, Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay. All right, that's totally probable. I think that it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens versus the New Orleans Saints. I think that the Ravens definitely did the right things to upgrade their defense for sure. I think that they got embarrassed, especially Earl Thomas after getting stiff-armed twice in the same play. You come in here, you draft Patrick Queen, you trade for Calais Campbell, you do this, that, and the other on the defensive side. They definitely could be a team that could scheme and maybe even help slow down Patrick Mahomes in order for their reigning MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson to make stuff happen. Now, like we said earlier, the NFC is pretty wide open, but I do think that right now the Saints want it more, and I think that the Saints definitely are going to come in there and put up a heck of a fight and ready for a Super Bowl. But I do have the Baltimore Ravens winning the whole thing.
Look, I mean, you have a MVP who wins 1 year and immediately the year following wins the Super Bowl. You're saying it happens again? I
think it's very plausible. I can also see Patrick Mahomes winning it again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with Andy Reid in that offense. Look, as long as we have Kansas City versus Baltimore Ravens in the AFC Championship game, I don't care who wins.
Yeah.
Because that game...
Week 6.
Thank you, Titans. You guys robbed us of what could have been. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see that. As long as we see that, I think honestly, I think that's the Super Bowl. I think whoever wins that game, if that's the game we get, wins the Super Bowl. So, that's it. That's all we got.
Episode
10
13.
Questions.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Gridiron Gang Football Podcast. Send us an email, gridirongang@footballpodcast@gmail.com. I think I butchered that, but anyways, it's
going to be up here, so don't worry.
Follow us on Twitter, Grid Game Podcast. Twitter handle's up here. Thank you guys so much for listening to us. Seriously, if there's only 10 questions, we couldn't get to every single team. We didn't talk about the Vikings and the Dolphins and all this.
That's weird. We didn't even talk about that.
Send us a message.
I didn't even talk about the Colts. I talked about the Titans being division rivals of the Colts, but I didn't say a single thing about the Colts. I'm going right now to just watch a bunch of highlights now because I did not talk about the Colts.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of surprised too because we've said even a few weeks ago that it's probable that they make a deep playoff run, even but Super Bowl contenders or whatever, and you didn't bring them up. I'm proud of you. Proud of you for not being a homer.
It hurt.
But thank you very much for watching us. Go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe, leave us a review on our podcast, and we hope that you guys continue to enjoy. What are we going to have next week? Come back next week to find out. All right. Thank you very much. You guys have a good rest of the week. Drew, you got any weird saying this week?
No, not today. I've been really
letting the people down.
Next week, I'll have a zinger for you.
Oh,
Do not worry about it.
There you go. You heard it here first. Thank you very much. You guys have a good rest of the week. Goodbye.
Bye.